Welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. We are the Dadley Boys of WhatCulture. I'm Adam Wilbourn, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week, complete with a really good quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Hamflett and Sidgwick to review last night's Dynamite. Thoughts?
Drab crap. Death of a dream. God, this is so bleak and formulaic and a crushing experience to watch. And, you know, it wasn't actively that bad at various points. Can't fault some of the work. I was just bored rigid here. And it's a shame because Collision, flawed, decent, an improvement. 40 minutes of Dynamite last week was approaching the feeling. I told you Kenny Omega is going to be normalized in a zone, and this zone feels very normal. The match will be great. The match will be great at Grand Slam, but this bloody angle in this match, it's like, hell. Autopilot, Sadie Jones.
Yeah. We landed on Drape Crepe.
Zone Jones?
We landed on Drape Crepe during the...
I don't think anyone was happy with this Dynamite.
No, like CWC NXT. And the reason we did was because, well, all right, yeah, by the letter of the law, the rest, like all the moves were moves. Like they were executed without injury, safely. The small
quite a lot of good technical prowess to execute.
Small attendants appeared pleased enough with the
solidly
executed moves, but that was what defined Drape Crepe for that like dreadful year and a half. I've liked AEW this. I've been sticking up for AEW in that Stafford. Like, this was a massive departure for me in terms of not just like the action and the atmosphere, but there was a real sense that any, I don't know, just like creative juices that have been flowing over the last few weeks just weren't there.
No ideas here.
Nah, I don't know if they're like, because they're booking stuff for weeks in advance now, so it's not that this justifies just like skipping a week.
Yeah.
People of like Huntsville, Alabama won't be pleased that this was a skip week for them, but the fact that they're booking in advance, it's not just that like, oh, this was actually pretty good. It's that the belief maybe in the process is coming back, the trust in the process, you know, the stuff that was good on Collision, that gives you that sense that, well, that was always going to happen here. They're not just rushing through everything because they've got belief in themselves again. I just didn't see any of that here. There was none of that on show. I'm willing to call this an off week because I still sense next week's episode could be quite good, but until they're out of the stranglehold of this main event program, nothing's ever going to feel truly fixed.
Was last night a double taping? Did they do Dynamite and Collision?
I believe they did because there's Collision spoilers. I haven't seen them. Oh, God, I've got to keep it fresh. Have you seen the card? Oh, God, I'm going to have to watch that.
Yeah.
They've put a lot of stuff on there, I suppose.
It's a mid-south match because it's mid and it's in the south.
Yeah.
But stick around, by the way, if you think, oh, you know, they were just going to be complaining about all this. Michael Hamflett has come through with an idea to save the Death Riders.
Got it.
Good bullet point.
Yep.
But before we get to that...
Retention. So,
none of that. I'm so excited. They knew what show they were putting on. We started with Will Ospreay versus Brian Cage.
Kicking it while it's
not
down.
Good enough, that. Not good enough. There's drop WWE crap and you play a gimmick.
So before the match begins, because you got Lance Archer and Don Callis out there, Callis grabs the mic and tells Will Ospreay to look up at the big screen, and there's Kenny Omega. He's been laid out and he's been checked over by doctors and referees and what have you. And Callis, a maniacal laugh.
What was the point? Ospreay didn't care. They had a little shootout of a match, and then Kenny just came back unscathed. I'm trying not to be too facetious. I think the idea was for people in the audience to go, "Come on, Kenny, come back, Kenny." But I think they would have had the cue anyway because they're mates and they made friends last week.
Yep.
Come on, Kenny, come out here and save the day. I love Kenny Omega.
You going off the Kenny Omega zone?
I'm not, but it's all zones, isn't it?
So Cage attacks from this distraction, but Ospreay hits a Hurricane Rana to the floor. When they're out there, Ospreay manages to send him into the post as well. Jumps on the guardrail, but jumps right into the arms of Brian Cage, who, this is awesome. He walked around ringside with a stalling suplex, and then Cage took the ref, and that allowed Lance Archer and Don Callis to stick some boots into him. Ospreay fights free eventually, though, with a handspring corkscrew kick. Fights back, boots Cage to the outside, dives onto him, but Archer runs distraction to allow Cage to recover and hit the superplex back inside for 2. Ospreay tries for an Oz cutter, but Cage catches him with multiple lariats and a Liger bomb for 2. Cage gets him with an avalanche F5, but Ospreay gets his foot on the ropes. Lance Archer shoves it off, but the referee just looks at him when he does that. And Ospreay counters a powerbomb after that into a Hurricane Rana that sends Cage into Lance Archer, who's on the apron. And Ospreay grabs Brian Cage for a Styles Clash to get the 1-2-3.
The good thing about this match is that it wasn't too exhilarating, or it wasn't too transparent an attempt to get the crowd making loads and loads of noise. They try to tell a more simplified story. The problem is that simplified is half the time like it's pretty mediocre. Will Ospreay, to his credit, scaled things back. He didn't do any really egregious, ill-fitting, unearned, like delayed fighting spirit adrenaline spots, really. But still wasn't that good a story. I don't know what was to blame here. Like instantly you just got the sense of, this venue just looks like a quarter full normal place. The card itself we need to talk about on paper. We did during the preview, in fairness. It just didn't really, no one was like, oh God, this could be awesome. No one. And yeah, the match was just, it's Brian Cage in 2025. This is a dude who realistically had the best match he's ever going to have in 2021. And it's just been a series of diminishing returns from Double or Nothing 2021. And what's happened in the interim is that it's an incredibly hollow experience. Look, some of its stuff is impressive. I mean, I'm not trying to be too much of an arsehole, but the problem, there's like a dual problem with Brian Cage and even Will Ospreay, and indeed Kenny Omega can't do a great deal with it, is that one, pretty one-dimensional as a wrestler, and he just plays the hits of like a big guy who's moving around like that. Pretty one-dimensional is a bit in a different world, a different time. He would have just done that. And he did, in fact, just do that in a different building for a different promotion, and those fans were happy to see him. I'm not Doug. It's been literally 5 years, and I'm over it. I'm over Brian Cage. And what's more is that it's rendered an even more hollow experience because this guy, and to his credit, he knows his role. He was sort of making noises about 3 or 4 years ago, if you recall, about, it should be the main event. Like, come on, Brian, no, you shouldn't. And then I think he must have had this internal bit of maturing and went, you know what, I'll do some jobs and I'll get paid and I'll try and work my way up that way. So I credit Brian Cage for that, but my God, he is a guy who loses TV matches. That's his character. That's his role. It is that quintessential AEW problem of, I know who's winning. There is no drama. There's no drama here. There's no really cool violence. It's all completely overexposed. Let's watch this numb. And I had problems with the post-match angle, which I'll tell you about when I finally give Hamflett a chance to talk.
I don't need one on this match. That's the reality of it. I think, and maybe this will just fold into criticisms probably shared about the post-match. To me, this is a fundamental misunderstanding of what your audience wants from this program. The Ospreay Omega tag team and the feud with the Don Callis family exists transparently, and this is okay, to reintroduce Kenny Omega into the world, to create this like sort of Golden Lovers, Page and Omega adjacent type super team with Ospreay that either becomes a fouad of its own or makes them allies so that they can like sort of go on similar-ish quests together in AEW, but always maybe come back together of who's the best. Kenny said it on his first night.
Yeah.
You think you're the best, I'm the best. There's nothing wrong in that. Nothing wrong in it. But this type of booking is where AEW just, for me, continue to get it wrong. Like, they're not going to fill buildings.
This is such AEW AI booking.
Yeah. They're not going to get people back in buildings when they're saying the super team are at large, and they're even going to put both men on the graphic, and then do the obvious winner, obvious loser singles variants before you get to, yes, I know you've got to save the big match for Grand Slam. I'm not asking for that. But like we talked about how, right, the very moment they came together was in like a moment of physicality with Lance Archer, wasn't it? It was like, we have to come together to show that we can kick this big guy's ass.
Yeah.
And then that was why we were talking about...
Do they? He loses all the time as well.
True, but like you could take the moment of sort of like physical chemistry is important for the story. Then we said, don't fart around with the generic bland tag match. Rush straight to the parking lot brawl / arena-wide brawl, because you've shown fans that you're good in that environment, and it's like it's energized like the spot was last week. I said it on the preview yesterday. Don't back down with these boring singles matches. Double down with more balcony dives, with more like get people wanting to rush to buildings screaming to see Ospreay and Omega again. And like this to them is like the fans are patient, let them come. This is like the booking version of the Triple H, and just when you think you can't go any slower, slow down.
Slow it down.
No, pull them back in the building with energy like last week, with more bollocks. Like there's just that formula that has been adhered to for so long that they just think they can slap it onto any program, and all programs are different. Everything's case by case.
No, it isn't. Not in AEW, it isn't.
But it should be.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying it isn't.
That's what gets you out of the zones. That's what gets you out of the feeling of like looking at that big
Gauntlet City.
Big poster full of hundreds of talents and going, oh, that's coming to my town, but like which ones and what are they even doing?
Yeah,
it's like it is a misunderstanding. And I'm not, it's Tony Khan. I couldn't have booked a captivating wrestling product in a pandemic in an empty amphitheater. He's got the chops. This is not getting it right.
Yeah.
It's like basics.
Just an unskippable cutscene of a booking trope. I know who's going to win. I'm not necessarily convinced the match is going to be that good. It's not dramatic. It's achingly predictable, but you feel like you need to do it. It's just a time-wasting bullshit booking device. If only there was a way to get around it. WhatCulture.com/WWE in the coming days.
Post-match, Archer immediately jumps in and they beat down Will Ospreay. Then Kenny Omega's music hits and he runs out with a chair, chucks it at both of the murder machines. So what's their focus on Cage and Archer? Takeshita and Carl Fletcher hit the ring. It's 4-on-2. Beat him down, obviously. Numbers game. Takeshita hit a bastard driver on Omega. Fletcher hits a tombstone on Ospreay. And Callis joins his family, and they stand tall as Omega's writhing around, clutching his ribs. And Ospreay's covering him from taking any more punishment.
That felt too much, unearned. They've gone through the story beats of this. I mean, this time... 8 days ago, they still kind of hated each other, and now he's doing the. It's Kabashi covering Misawa, isn't it? And it's Kabashi's even more like sympathetic because he's the one with the knackered leg and all the bandage around it, and it's like he couldn't be more of a hero. And they're doing that spot for this.
Ignoring the botch, it's like, even in AEW law, it's the Kingston Moxley thing, isn't it? That's the idea. Is Funk, like, put it all to one side.
Funk, Anita, Kabashi, Misawa, they've done it, and they're like AEW's tape trading Japanese 90s stuff, it's never as good as they think it is. The lore of the Tiger Driver was never really handled that well either. An unearned moment, and my God, this went on forever. Absolutely forever. It went on forever. There was no heat for the heat segment. I think people were prepared to go along with this, with the idea being, right, okay, well, it's got obvious ramifications on what Kenny Omega's going to do as a singles guy with Ospreay and etc. Don't take the piss by having the Callis be an actual stable of big bads. You know? I mean, you kind of have to, I guess, but I don't know.
Proof to the pudding, though. Like, if this had heavy heat in the building, we'd all be singing its praises. Yeah. Wow, God, they came up for that. Like, if this was a really violent beatdown and everybody bought it, but you could sense nobody buys this.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what they're watching is like this necessary evil of how wrestling books before we get to the tag match.
Before we get to the fireworks, fiery tag match. That'll be amazing, and it will be amazing, but there's no emotional heft to it.
No. It's
all fireworks. Balcony dives, state-of-the-art 30-minute tag matches.
Should have kept the level there.
With hybrid super workers. The idea that there's them pretending there's emotional heft to this and heat is just, time sink.
So we go backstage. Renee Paquette's trying to get a word from Swerve Strickland. She's outside his locker room, but before she can, speak to him or at least find out where he is, in comes Hangman Page on the warpath like he's Ava from NXT. She wasn't going to say this, Rock's daughter, general manager of NXT, and she's on the warpath. He looks inside, no Swerve in there, and he tells Renee it's no business what I'm doing. He pushes past MJF. Max mocks how Page is acting like he's king and calls him hypocritical. And he's sort of ranting to himself as Renee cuts him off to ask him about Jeff Jarrett. And he said, yeah, Jeff will learn tonight that he should have taken the deal with the devil. He's going to be beaten by the human horse, Claudio Castagnoli. And he said tonight is the last Outlaw's last ride. Ain't that great?
Like he's got such a great face, MJF. Yeah. You see the flickers of something there. Always. This program, as we will later, well, very quickly delve into, is not so good, Al.
I'm on at the next one. I'm on at the Page stuff. I like that. It's 2 weeks in a row. I'm being given the freedom to get excited in fantasy book because it's actually happening.
This was a nice bit of defty dovetailing stuff, this. Didn't expect to say those two words on this podcast. But you know where they're going. You're seeing how they're doing it. And this was a bit of a kind of an organic way of just letting that simmer within people, you know?
And, of course, the other week he kicked out the jobber that was just about to face Page.
Yes.
Because he wanted to talk.
That was a bit more contrived, but in a way that the destination's great, so who cares about the contrivance? This is actually quite well handled as a bit of backstage business.
And it's a bit of a flashback to what you always used to like of, like, you know, a running order of matches, not just, and he just comes out and goes, no, I'm talking right now. I know there's meant to be a match here, rather than just be like, whoa, he's cutting a promo? Thank God, because we had a 10-minute gap. We get some pre-recorded comments from Powerhouse Hobbs. He's not cleared to travel to Dynamite tonight because he had a brick thrown at him, of course. But he's going to show Big Bill that the hell they went through on Collision is only the beginning. More from Big Bill in a bit. But then we got the Human Horse versus Jeff Jarrett. Claudio dominates the early exchanges, of course. But Jarrett avoided a neutralizer and put on the figure 4. Claudio gets to the ropes. And then, oh, God, here comes Wheeler Yuta through the crowd. Starts arguing with Jeff. That takes us to a break.
Wheeler Yuta and Natalia in the mixed match challenge.
Get a haircut. Jarrett targets the leg when we come back, but Claudio gets him with a giant swing. And not yet. Claudio stops selling the leg that's been targeted, but he still puts on the sharpshooter. But Jarrett manages to reverse and put him in a sharpshooter of his own until Yuta slides a chair into the ring. Referee obviously busies himself with that. Yuta tries to attack, but eats a right hand from Jeff Jarrett. Yuta grabs the ref. Claudio goes for a chair shot, misses. Jarrett's got him. He's going to hit the stroke. But then in comes Jon Moxley, who takes out Jarrett with a paradigm shift. Claudio hits him with several. I mean, he got the match won, but he still does it just because he's a git. Hits multiple neutralizers and gets the 1, 2, 3. And Moxley, Yuta, and Marina Shafir are all watching as they watch Claudio celebrate and then leave with them through the crowd.
I couldn't tell if the finish was Claudio relishing the idea of beating up this old guy for daring to step to the Death Riders, or if he was just making sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's giving me a hell of a battle. Did he? I don't think he did. I didn't buy much of it in the match. Like, so I was a bit mixed on what that finish was meant to be. You have your fun with Wheeler Yuta. I don't know if it's a bit or not.
Neither do I, to be honest.
I'm starting to really feel like a sense of pity towards him. The amount of, there's a lot that's been invested in Yuta. And it's just never happened and never going to happen for him. Yuta is emblematic of this hopeless, vehicle that AEW tries to do with its young talent. Just put them in a stable and they'll learn from the senior figure in that stable and eventually might, have a match with that person. Like Guevara, Jericho, Christian Cage, Jack Perry, Moxley, Yuta. It's the opposite of the intended effect. These people do not get over through stables. It just isn't happening. Wheeler Yuta has been in 2 of the worst, and he comes out and there's crickets, and he's like, how often is he just, he's a little that is the character, but I don't ever get the feeling of, oh, Yuta, you little bastard. Never think that. I say, oh, God, it's Wheeler Yuta, and I feel sorry for him because he's got no heat whatsoever. He's not over at all. It hasn't worked. They've been doing this. It's the 3rd year anniversary coming up.
Wow.
It's the 3rd year anniversary of Wheeler Yuta is under the wing of Jon Moxley, and he's going to be shaped in the image of violence and be a violent technician, and he's going to one day rule AEW. One day, maybe it's just going to take one more day. One more day. Because, oh my God, he's less over now than he was 3 years ago, and he's in the exact same spot. Hang on, John Moxley. Wouldn't you have a problem with this? If any of this Death Rider stuff made any sense, this match kind of just existed for me. At no point was I like, oh, come on, Jeff, do it. At no point was I, oh, he can do it. Like the Japanese arm drags, it was just so obvious that Claudio was just doing somersaults. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was just bad, this. And I think there's been a very significant misplaced confidence in how much there is a sentimental bond between Jeff Jarrett and this core base.
Yeah. I'm not even an AEW core base, but I'm a Jeff Jarrett one, I think. And I agree. This was like, again, I think the intention was better here because of the location and the expectation on how this crowd would come up for Jeff Jarrett, and they didn't.
Didn't hate him. No, wasn't a rejection.
It wasn't a rejection. It just
Huntsville, Alabama.
TNA.
Huntsville with an H, just to clarify.
Yeah, yes.
We
Deep
should
TNA law.
They got up for certain moments, this crowd. It was just smart.
Sharpshooter reversal was nice, with considering that Owen Hart is at the core of Jeff Jarrett's, like kind of babyface turn and all of this sort of stuff. But yeah, and like, I'll do my fantasy booking now because it leads into my complaints about this finish. Like,
is this you fixing there?
Yeah, I'm going to fix Death Riders after I've complained about the finish of it.
Okay.
That's all right, because
here we go.
John Moxley a month ago, like, because he's everything, because he gets to be everything, because he's John Moxley, right? Like, I'll take on all 3 years, and has a fatal four-way that he books himself. Right, yeah.
Mox and Ava at the same time.
Yeah. Right, he books his own fatal four-way, right? And then wins it. He's the hardest and the strongest and also a coward. Never. He's everything. He's really funny too. And then like,
nah,
he's like,
not anymore.
Looks at like, I love him. He looks at like 50-odd-year-old Jeff Jarrett and he's like, we need to get the out of this. he's a coward because
Jesus.
Because he's a coward this. Yeah, he's gonna scream. So he's a coward this week, right? And this is like, yeah, I'm feeling like a bit of resentment because he put some comments out there yesterday that have been aggregated, and it feels extremely defensive wrestler / booker. So like all the weeks where I've been saying,
let it play out.
Yeah.
Enjoy the ride. It's not a ride. A ride has got its ups and downs. This is a straight line of heat segment.
Yeah.
Heat segment. Heat segment, crime. Heat segment, crime. Showing ass. Nope. Belt up, belt up, belt up. Belt up John Moxley.
I've seen the ride.
Doesn't show ass and he's obsessed with having gold around his waist.
Yeah, I've seen the ride, John. It's a pickup truck driving through a flat desert where nothing occurs. I have to watch it every time you build into a pay-per-view. Come on, guys, we're driving to the show. It's
and,
rubbish.
Cope's vein.
Yeah.
Cope's vein is, he's going to sit on a stool in about 3 or 4 weeks, and the vein in his head is going to look bigger than Lanny Poffo's dick, and everyone's going to have a real boring time.
That's the ride. So, the more I've thought about this John Moxley character, the more it's hit me what this is. And I've made this comparison once before. When the Wheeler Yuta turn happened, I was like, they might really have something in, because there was, if nothing else, a bit of noise for you to pick in Moxley over Brian. And I went, early days, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso. And that worked, so maybe this will work. What we've done is we've entered 2021 Bloodline. This is terrible, right? This is Roman Reigns working Finn Balor, John Cena, Edge. It's always Edge. But like,
why won't he go away?
Working all of these boring matches where the Usos running. I remember Sidge flagging this at the time, just like everybody goes, hey, we're the ones. I'd get it if he was a cheating heel and all they were going, he's a honky tonk man, but he's jacked. No, like the commentators, the audience, everybody goes, yeah, he is. He's everything we're being told he is, right? Right the way up to that absolute Turcarino with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 22 when he wins both belts, and it's still just like, he's and everybody's just going, it's Roman Reigns, so I guess they're right? And then even Michael Cole, we have no choice to acknowledge this is the one diamond in this business, whatever. On this episode of Dynamite, and it's Moxley talks later, but there's a point where Tony Schiavone
How
goes,
can you be Timo Bloodline when Tangaloa's in one? You know what I mean? Moxley's worse than Tangaloa.
Tony Schiavone later on the show was like, maybe John Moxley's got a point. What? So you thinking now, so is AEW broken? I think
that's why the best wrestler, and it's completely broken and needs saved. Why are you so confused about this?
All out of the shop, like the Bloodline was in 2022 when Roman's holding both belts, and he's never felt any less powerful because he's a fraud, right, as a character. And,
like I always said.
And the turning point, as we've discussed, was...
Let's Okay, let's go.
Now you're getting it, Sidge. The Death Riders need a Sami Zayn. So I'm sitting here, I'm watching this Dynamite, I'm bored off my ass, and I'm looking up and down this roster trying to find a Sami Zayn. And it's like, pivot.
Good luck, pal.
There is one. Pivot, Tony, pivot. Who was rejected from a stable? Ricochet. Imagine if he sidles up to the Death Riders. Sidge, in a minute, I'm going to ask for the laugh because you can do it better than me. And he goes up to John. He's like, so you're having some problems with cope there. I'll take it from here. And John's like, what's that? And then later on, up to Claudio goes, hey, nice dome. Like elbow on the side. And like the Death Riders, they cannot stand him, but somehow he's in the van. Somehow he's joining the beatdowns. Like, invited Ricochet. Give them a bit of...
Hey, lads, do you want anyone to start with some scissors?
Yeah, like, because he's kind of... That bit of him is a little bit, like, sort of Death Riders adjacent. But
Hey, Claudio, do you like my scissors?
Yeah. I'm telling you, man.
I'm telling you no.
Ricochet, the clown of the Death Riders, saves the business.
Right, okay.
I'll try it.
Here's AEW, okay? Hey, Invincible, yes, okay? Oh. What makes the line go down? Copying WWE's homework. What made WCW's line down? Copying WWE's homework. What made TNA's line go down? Copying WWE's homework, man. I don't need to see Ricochet be Sami Zayn, bro. And I think it would make the Death Riders more fun.
That's all I wasn't pitching AEW being fixed. I was pitching the Death Riders being palatable.
Okay. Palatable Death Riders.
Palatable Death Riders.
I think you were actually pitching them to be the R-Truth of the Death Riders is what you really wanted.
Oh, yeah. Actually, Nicholas has got me back in the rights there. But I like the Judgment Day far more than the Death Riders. Yeah, good point. Might have me there.
I like a bit of levity to the
It
act.
needs it. Right?
It needs stomach.
And then John Moxley was like, hey, I'm doing comedy as well. Takes comedy off every other character. I was just Shivani in this one. Maybe he's got a point. Are you kidding me?
It's worse.
Post-match, though, Jeff Jarrett is stumbling to his feet. Out comes, this was a genuine report, but out comes MJF. And I'm like, oh no. And Taz's like, smart to pick his spots like this. This boy. He walks down, lifts the microphone up to his mouth, and nails Jeff Jarrett with the beautiful diamond ring. And he knelt down to him and said, I respect my elders, so I'm not going to say, I told you so. And he just walked out.
Good. Getting to the point.
Get to the point.
Need your help with this, Sidge. Renee Paquette is backstage with Ricochet, who tells him that if Swerve interferes in any capacity tonight, his match against AR Fox, then the match next week against Ricochet is off. Ricochet is ecstatic to hear this news, but he's not going to talk to her now. He'll tell her his thoughts on Collision on Saturday. The powers that be have screwed him again with this match tonight, but he's going to go and take care of business right now.
Canada does a half.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah, he's not all in. Yeah, he's got to waste it. Save it. And then it was Ricochet versus, a guy actually I didn't really know a lot about until he came to AEW. He's a guy called AR Fox.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I mentioned that before.
Just an indie stalwart trainer come wrestler,
He's great. I love him. And really enjoyed these two together. Fox hit a jumping stunner and a corkscrew brainbuster early on that sends Ricochet outside. And Fox does a dive. I just wrote this down because Fox does a dive. Taz is like, whoa, flew like a rocket ship. Rocket Ship Jones. And I just laugh because that's just like...
They need to change the commentary team.
Problems across the board on the commentary team.
Excalibur. Could anyone do this material well?
I feel like, to be fair to Excalibur, we've said this before, he's Jim Ross, checked out Jim Ross, isn't he? He's like, he is a guy that wants to love it with all his heart, and when he can't back it, you can tell.
Yeah.
He's got all of his tells, and JR used to do that. He'd even say something to try and get himself out of, back in the product he's covering.
Yeah.
With Excalibur's trapped in that now.
With Excalibur, it used to be, I like him, he makes it a very lively broadcast. He doesn't have any gravitas, and I understand why people would some would find him annoying, but not for me. I like it. I don't like listening to him anymore. And I don't know if it's just an AEW thing at large, or if Excalibur's just a good action play guy.
You know, you say about the difference between the wrestlers that are saying what they think and the ones that have said it into a mirror and are now going back out and reciting it. I feel like with a lot of the key stories in AEW, Excalibur isn't even watching the monitor. He's got the big headline points the story on a piece of paper and he's reading them out word for word, just so it's out there.
I would genuinely consider giving somebody else the big seat, and because he was good alongside Jim Ross, even if Jim Ross himself, that weird, everyone has a different rule. He does he's like the voice of AEW now. I don't think it's working out. I'd keep him as the excitable guy.
Riccaboni?
Yeah, Riccaboni.
Yeah.
Riccaboni's got a bit of a dorky quality to him, but I think he's good.
Also funny when Max was like, "You Bible bashing prick, get out of my ring." That's for good stuff. Bible bashing prick, Shivani fat prick. That's all good stuff. You know?
It's all good stuff.
So AR Fox wants a DVD on the apron, but Ricochet hip tossed him onto the apron and teases a dive, and then George X with the fans as we go to a break. When we come back,
like the little forward roll, good little variation on I like that spot.
Yeah,
I like that spot in general.
I don't know why, but I really liked when we came back from the break when Ricochet hit the people's moonsault, I suppose you could call it, for a near fall.
Good stuff, this.
Double body block for the reset. There's an iconoclasm from Fox into a beautiful 450 splash for a near fall.
That was a lovely little bit of wrestling, that.
That was nice stuff. Ricochet crawls to the apron, but
I'm not taking the piss.
I know, but it's a funny sentence.
It's a lovely bit of wrestling. Fox pulls him back in. Ricochet's trying to grab onto anything to stop him from being pulled into his clutches, including the referee. And the shenanigans there allow Ricochet to hit a code breaker for 2. And then he hits the Spirit Gun, followed by Vertigo for the 1, 2, 3. Do you want to talk match and then we'll do post-match?
Yeah. You know what I liked about this match? It told a story.
I
liked it. They didn't... Ricochet is wrestling as a dickhead heel character. That was... He's knocking it out the park with his character work. I think that the big criticism against the ZSJ match at Wrestle Dynasty was just high flyer versus technical. Even ZSJ has come out and said, it was an exhibition. We had knee chance after Gabe Kidd. And Ricochet just kind of wrestled like he just doing his stuff with a bit of an edge, like he caught ZSJ unawares at the start, but he was just doing it. Here, he was wrestling like Ricochet, the TV character. They resisted the temptation. This is in a better way than Brian Cage. They resisted the temptation to just have like a duel, like an aerial duel, and go out and get like a nice little 4.5 out of this or whatever. Slowed it down, Kid, at the right times. He articulated with his body language this little bastard, little dickhead of a character, and told the story of he would rather be a bellend and shove it back in the people's faces than win. And then he came perilously close with that really cool cutter in 450, perilously close to losing. The fans really got into that aspect of it. And then he was like, I kind of have to win now. Like, I know I'm an arsehole, but I need to get the dub here. Just a nice bit of TV wrestling. There's nothing spectacular, nothing blew away, but I'm enjoying Ricochet, and I enjoyed how he's really starting to incorporate this version of Ricochet between the ropes.
Yeah, the big standout, isn't it? Like the fusion of this character with the moves is something that, well, you know, when he left and it was just, it's WWE Ricochet, he's finished, whatever. There was never really a time that Ricochet would have had the opportunity, save for NXT if they'd have turned him heel, for like being a heel and figuring out how to be Ricochet as a bad guy.
Figure it out.
Yeah. And he's got it like straight away. That sounds patronizing. He probably always had it, but like he reminds you of what AEW used to feel like, which was this like genuine land of opportunity. The generic take, and it was the correct one, was now they can go and be themselves. Whatever the best self is, they'll go to AEW and they'll be that rather than being under this strict WWE control. That has all but disappeared, and Ricochet reminds you that there's an element of it that is still true.
So post-match, Ricochet grabs some scissors that he's hidden in the turnbuckle. Have I misremembered this, or did Tony Schiavone say, were they in his trunks?
Yeah.
Chop his dick off by jumping around.
But anyway, he's gonna.
Schiavone's dumbed down.
Yeah. He needs to watch for his Ricochet. Yeah, he has. He's allowing for stuff, isn't he? Just because it's like not as bad as late era Nitro was. So in his mind, like, there's the bar, and it's like, it's fine.
It's become like affable old, like gullible Tony Schiavone when he was a bit like, he was so much sharper. Remember, he used to have like an edge with his wit and everything. That seems to have disappeared.
It's a different Tony Schiavone, isn't it, as well? Because the element in 2019 was like he had to switch off wrestling because of like the trauma of WCW, and he switched back on. And Jesus, look at it! There's so much charm of that for the first couple of years of Schiavone, but it's been long enough now that there's going to be a natural sort of change in all of that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't want to say everything in AEW was bad, but the commentary is starting to actively piss me off.
Yeah.
Swerve appears though before he can murder.
Fine this off for like a while wrestling and wrestlers, and I wouldn't get bored of you so easily. You know?
I know.
Swerve appears.
It's like, it's nothing personal.
Drags Ricochet to the outside, beats him up, barricade steps, sets up, gets him back in, sets up for a huge Swerve stomp. But Ricochet grabs AL Fox, who's still recovering, and basically uses him as a human shield with gold scissors to his throat.
It's a crime in it.
And he bails before Swerve can get to him. And Swerve basically says there's nowhere to run next week.
Have like a 1 crime per show rule. Do you know what I mean? Because
they play a game.
Because if you go like, we have Crime Watch, we've already got it. If you go through the annals of wrestling history and every show, there's probably a crime or something that could be considered a crime. And that's just angles. It's assaults. It's just what wrestling is. Even the most pedantic among us, me, will recognize that. We need 1 crime per show.
Did like the desperation. Oh, bollocks! I'll kill him. You come over as well if you do it. He's a little twat. He's great.
Show Bible. Swerve is a man who has been willing to cut people's thumbs off.
Oh,
So he's
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
He grew back, though.
Do it then.
Did he grow back? Or did he not do it? I can't remember.
The grew back, mate.
Did something, yeah. It was sweet.
Yeah, the grew back.
He comes like, hey. Oh, good.
Got new thumbs.
He's got 2 new thumbs. Oh, that's the end of the thing, because it's normally say it.
What's got new thumbs and has got new thumbs?
It's what else happened on the program.
Billy Thumb.
Billy Thumb.
I don't know. Sounds a bit like gunning away. It's got the U sound.
It's barely assonance.
I'm Tom Thumb.
Mr. Thumb. On the back of his trunks.
We just move on.
New Thumb Outlaw.
Bad Bum Billy Thumb. Smoking thumbs.
I was going to say.
He's locked in now. Stuff.
Nah. Just get on with it.
We see footage from Renee Paquette's close-up series with the Death Riders. Try and find time to watch that, I suppose. Why you got the briefcase? Why you got the world title in a briefcase, John? He says, "What? You want to take a picture with it? What is this? A petting zoo? What is this? A petting zoo? I'd like the Death Riders to run a petting zoo.
Just like
Just a load of miserable animals.
Just deadpans him and goes, I'm leaving.
It's like the hardest animals. It's like no one wants to go. So you got any cute ones
Do not
now?
feed the animals.
Have you got any cute little ones just for the young kids? Nah, not anymore.
They were killed by the tough.
Yeah, because it weren't good enough.
I'm going to change what zoos are about, man.
Come on, kids. It's feeding time. Let's get him in the trough. Not just bleach. Yeah, that'll be right. Don't feed an animal bleach.
All animals over there, timer.
I'm afraid this little guy's broke his leg, so we're going to have to send him to the big farm in the sky. Wow! With a chicken chateau.
Just walking around, looking for the sort of the really kind of like old crumbly sort of animals. It's like, get the carrier back.
Right, okay. Right, okay. Come on. Decapitate that koala. It's not pulling its weight. Right.
John Mox is walking around with all the spare bamboo just sticking out of his head.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna get eaten. They're all dead.
Come on. No, we can't have this.
Someone mock up a Death Rider's face.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Anyway, people, it's not about the belt. It's about being the living definition of the world champion. It's not something you win, hold, and show off and take a picture with. It's in your heart, cultivated, grown in the white-hot fires of combat.
Shut up, John. Shut the up.
I'm sorry, I just thought of Death Jitsu.
Nice, nice.
Open the doors.
Yeah, he says that line about having 1,000 John Moxleys again. Hang on, there's a button for this.
No! 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 No!
He's going to make everyone go through what he's gone through and worse or something.
We're letting it play out.
I'm just... when does the ride start, John?
When do we get to the zoo, John?
It's the queue ride at the moment. I'm in the queue.
Ride's broken down. Should we stick here another hour? Because, I mean, we've already put 6 months into it, so we should.
Yeah.
Park's going to close in a couple. I want to do Nemesis before we go. I sat through Brian and Orange Cassidy and the 4-way, so I mean, I'm sort of in it now. Maybe fix it in time. Darby will get here. Maybe we'll finish climbing a fucking mountain. What is going on? Give it Edge and give it Christian. Just do it.
Don't do that!
Just do it. Just do it.
Do anything you want!
Just give it Cope. Straight to
Give
Christian.
it Will Ospreay or Kenny Omega.
You're right. It's like, there's anybody Hamflett.
It's a work. Give it anyone. Give it to Peter. Give it to pretty Peter Avalon for all I give a shit. It's not Cope and not Mox.
Not the people in the Revolution main event. Anybody but the headliners.
Right.
Imagine 3.5 hours into that show and then the bell rings. And Edge is he's gonna drop an F-bomb in the first 5, and guaranteed he's like, I know how to get him. F you, John. And he's gonna like slowly drape over an ounce table and snarl. Ah, God. The riders. Riding all day long.
I don't know no shit.
The balls, riding on the shit by the balls. Into this house where shit.
Oh, God.
Right, so...
This guy was just going to say John Morrison, but he's already signed. He's another wrestler.
And he's another one that John Moxley could target, but he's given up on that.
Anything else you want to say about this?
Oh, God.
No. It's now time for a New York Minute with Chris Jericho. He says it's nice to be in the land of the, I think, Crimson Toad, he called it. There was a thing for his new movie as well. He talks about that and violence. And says, speaking of violence, Big Bill took out Powerhouse Hobbs last week, and Bill says, yeah, I put your words into action. I feel stronger because of it. And Jericho said it makes him proud for being such a great mentor. But he didn't take out Hobbs permanently, so he's still got more to learn. Jericho says he and Brian Keith are going to take on the Outrunners this week on Collision. They talk about how legendary they are, but he's never seen them anywhere other than AEW. And, I think Keith yelled about the Mandela effect.
Didn't hate that little bit.
Yeah. The youngest men alive are going to get taught a lesson from the smartest guys alive. And he expects Bill to make him proud. And there's a little look at the end. He's clearly not happy still with Big Bill.
Can we get there as soon as Revolution this year?
I think it's going to get there as soon as possible.
Yeah, that too.
Do it on Collision if you want. Bring back Rampage for one night only and do it tomorrow.
Just have Big Bill smash him in the face of the boot, and that'll be that. Like, maybe this is going to be the exception to the rule with the Jericho foo heads where the guy gets over. You know, like
I'm buzzing for it.
He wins the feud, and then he's actually on the next
He was
pay-per-view.
over before he joined the learning tree.
I know. we were there watching it happen, mate.
You seen it there?
I just want him over again. I want anybody over.
Tough titties.
Anything else you want to say about this?
Nothing.
Okay.
Already over. They're all over, Mike.
The way? He was over in a bit.
Yeah, he was.
Switchblade Jay White versus
Mr.
Wheeler.
Jeans there, Big Bill is.
What a Mr. Jeans. Switchblade Jay White versus Wheeler Yuta came next. Yuta tries to attack at the bell, but almost gets hit with a Blade Runner for his troubles. Scrambles to the outside, keeps trying to avoid Jay White, but he grabs him by the... I did like him grabbing by the goatee and hitting him with some chops. Yuta also gets crotched on the ropes, gets chopped to the outside. White's dominating, but Yuta drop kicks the leg out of his leg. Drop toe hold onto the edge of the ring, and his ankle gets trapped in it, so Yuta can target that as we go to break. When we come back, White's in trouble, but he finally recovers to hit a huge superplex for 2. Chops out Yuta, but he rolls through a Uranagi and chop blocks White and gets him in a Boston Crab, but he gets the ropes, and then Yuta's there doing the hammer and anvil elbows, and then White just looks at him, fires back up, huge Uranagi, wants a Blade Runner, Yuta schoolboys him and gets a German for a nice 2 count, but as Yuta goes to the splash, he rolls through, sets up the Busaiku knee, but runs straight into a Blade Runner for the 1-2-3.
I mean, it was Liquid Pro Wrestling. The liquid was lukewarm tap water, but it was Liquid Pro Wrestling. Various little moments, and I'm so tired of being a dick. Nice little genuine moments of, you have outthought your opponent there, and you have executed the counter very well, and you have now shifted the momentum of the match with some nice little technique and imagination. I couldn't possibly have cared less. This was Capital Wrestling Center stuff, where it's like you are watching technically proficient, believable pro wrestling where they are struggling for the advantage and thinking deeply about how to get it and making it feel like you are thinking in the moment. And I'm just no one's over and I'm bored rigid.
I came to the realization recently, and it's a sad one for me, that maybe like my love of the Bayley and Sasha Classic in Brooklyn was like informing my opinions on both of them. And over time, I've maybe come to accept that as great as they can both be on their day, there may be one great wrestler together rather than what they can do separately and be great at. Different skills, different attributes, different needs. And then
different needs.
I was watching this Jay White match and thinking, my God, like you are hitting, I'm watching you hit your ceiling as a babyface and it's not an over one, despite, as Sidge points out, the work being like undeniably very, very good. Jay White, Jey Uso, what a perfect wrestler they'd make.
I know.
Because in terms of crowd connection as a babyface and the actual ability to gear when the bell rings, you'd have something. But they're always going to...
You'd have a megastar.
You would have a megastar, but they're going to smash different ceilings forever as singles babyfaces. And they're like equal problems, but at least like you can be energized in the Jey Uso entrance before you accept the reality of the match. And then the Jay White stuff requires you to really hate the heel he's facing as a babyface, to love the work, to really love and connect with the work.
I'll never love it. I'll always appreciate it.
This Grand Slam title match that he's likely to get with John Moxley, like maybe they'll get me for a 2 count because of how Jay White works and how much I love John Moxley to lose that belt. But those are the extreme circumstances. And that crowd that will probably be with him as well at Grand Slam.
Post-match, Death Rider. Death Riders hit the ring and attack Jay White, but Rated FTR run down to make the save, and Cope shakes Jay White's hand. Dax Harwood grabs a microphone and says, I don't hate how you operate. But,
the left of you for dead, you dumb. What the f*** are you talking about, you idiot? They, on Collision, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, at the end of the show, put bags over your heads, dragged you to the parking lot so no one could even see your great selling performance. So you obviously need the validation from that. So you couldn't possibly be happy about it on any level. Left you for dead. Your words, not mine, bro. They left you for dead. I don't mind how they operate. What the f*** are you talking about, bro?
Riders on
Into this house where
you gotta laugh about it.
yeah, you gotta
We'll be through this one day. We'll be through this one day and we'll want to know that we laughed about it.
yeah. Don't hate how the Death Riders operate, says Dax.
are you stupid?
It's so funny. feeding someone bleach, that's fair enough. But
You can feed one of my best friends on TV bleach, but do not tie up an old guy I worked with one time.
You left you for dead, Dax Harwood.
Also, if I'm Powerhouse Hobbs now, I'm going to kill Dax Harwood. Oh, you don't know how they operate. They almost ended my career.
Right,
Sorry, yeah.
I need to bury this.
So, I don't hate how you operate, says Dax Harwood, but I do hate how you tried to end a 67-year-old hero of mine, Ricky Morton, last week. Harwood says Dennis Condry's there tonight. On this, now I can feel him next to me. And on his name, on Collision, they'll see the Death Riders in a Mid-South street fight, and the crowd love it, obviously.
Dax Harwood needs to be stopped. He needs to be stopped, I'm telling you now. Like, I hated this so much. I don't hate or don't mind, whatever, how the Death Riders operate. They left you for dead, and I think they've kind of done it twice here, in fact. Either tied you up or left you for dead or whatever.
Tied Ricky Morton up twice. First time I didn't care. Second time, you can't tie him up twice.
Right, Ricky, come back here in 2 weeks and we'll do this all over again, all right? But promise you'll come back. Yeah, I'll come back. All right, see you later.
I tweeted this. Hopefully the mega fans will forgive me. You can kill me. You can assault me. You can leave me for dead outside of the arena, but don't you come after my 80s tag team wrestling. We'll get it, mate. I think that you sent a memo 10 years ago, 10, 11, 12 years ago, of I want to revive tag team wrestling. I get it. I understand the point. You just no selling the fact that you've been attacked violently by these dudes, so you can tell people again that you like 80s tag team wrestling. If you like it so much, why don't you it? I'm sick of this.
Hangman was Swerve's house before the Death Riders burnt down his tapes. My goddamn tapes, no! John Moxley just sitting in front of a bunch of videos.
1-0. So
I'm kind of the guy that also sets fire to stuff. Sorry, Hangman. I got that too.
I'm telling you now as well. Like, I was like, I'm going to have to just make sure. I never thought I'd do this as long as I lived. I made a promise to myself I would never do this. I watched the end of last week's Dynamite. And what happened was, and yes, they're all acting under orders from John Moxley. If you want to be a little bellend about it, okay. But I'm watching that segment where they're tied up in chairs and Ricky Morton, who no one who watches Dynamite really knows who he is. He invented everything.
They've been told. They understand.
I haven't done a good enough job, in my opinion, of promoting the idea that this guy's royalty, and he every time you've seen someone reach out and hope, it's him. He did it all. I'm not being an arsehole. Well, I am, but not to him. And he gets concertoed, right? He gets concertoed by...
Oh! It's time to play the game! Time to play the game!
Who concertoed Ricky Morton at the end of Dynamite last week?
Clouds, wasn't it?
I would say Claudio.
Cloudio Castagnoli.
Not a clouds in the sky.
So Claudio Castagnoli hits Ricky Morton with a concerto. Dax Harwood, who cares more about that than being left for dead because he loves tag team wrestling and his wrestling heroes and the people who left his beloved business better than they found it. Loves him so much. He's going to get revenge on his behalf in a match against John Moxley and Wheeler Yuta. What the Claudio's not even in the match and he swung the chair. Like, come on, that is
Didn't even come out and help Jeff Jarrett, and he was fighting Clouds.
That's deranged autopilot. Just do a tag before we get to the thing.
We need Yuta in there to eat the pin.
Yeah,
I hate this. I hate this, man.
You can't do Death Rider Deeks in a Mid-South brawl, can you? So it's got to be Yuta getting pinned.
What was good was the return of a timeless Toni Storm on Collision. It was really well recapped here as a nice video package of her.
The performance is good. The script was terrible.
Performance of her lifetime.
I used Raul Julia in Street Fighter as the analogy.
Raul Julia. I don't know. I'm thinking a character Raul Julia. Is that Street Fighter?
M. Bison played by...
Oh, sorry, right, okay. Oh, in the film.
Yes,
Sorry.
yes.
So Renee Paquette's out on the stage.
Oh, terrible film.
I'm still devastated
What a
by
mess.
it. Like Street Fighter was one of my things as a kid. Graphic novels, the games, you still love it.
Mario Brothers film in the same way. This just isn't like with the original, not the now one.
Make
Not
it the game.
Yeah, the 1991 one, whenever it was. Just
Bob
Hoskins,
yeah. Mariah May comes out on the stage, and May says it's great to be in Huntsville, but judging by the people here, they should probably change the first letter to a C.
Ville.
It's very good. It's good humour.
It's all good stuff. So someone tweeted me. I'll put this person over. Carry on.
Okay, I'll recap here. Renee says, you seemed visibly shaken by the return of Timeless Tony, and May says, we're not playing this game. Tony Storm, Timeless Tony Storm, all that, it's not real. And she gets in Renee's face, she leaves, and May, down the lens, says, you want to play the role of Tony Storm? Why don't you play the Tony Storm that gave her heart to a woman who used her to get her gold? Play this Tony Storm whose most memorable moment was bleeding and crying in my hands, or the one who walked out of AEW Japan and Mexico because she couldn't touch me. Play whatever version you want. The ending is still the same. When you're this good, you don't change a thing. May says she's the woman from hell, and she always will be. Something she'll remind Storm of for the rest of her life. Look now and never forget, this is your AEW Women's World Champion.
Good promo, good booking.
Yeah.
She's telling a lie. The reality is how she reacted on Collision.
Yes.
She's had days to try and compose herself because she's rattled, and what this does is squares away any idea that you can't believe in the transformation, if you want to call it that. It's a trait. It's a fight that Toni Storm still has within her that Mariah May thought she'd stomped out at Wembley Stadium, and she's panicking about it. They've done a good job. The stats yesterday, if nothing else, backed up that as a project, this has been a successful one. Yeah. And they're going to have the first ever, I suppose you can't call it a pay-per-view anymore, but the first ever proper main event of a big show is going to be these two Grand Slam. That's a capital M moment.
Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
Maybe me.
We don't know.
Maybe me and Jay need to close things.
Maybe we don't know yet. So I tweeted just Dax Harwood sucks, basically something like that. And Vio at Vio Wrestling replied, "It's all tragic stuff."
That's good stuff.
It's good stuff. Tragic humour.
We get a nice video package for the Guns. Oh, sorry, your thoughts on Mariah's promo?
That was good, and it finally established that she seems to care. I think she's been playing it too aloof, up to and including to the turn, or the reveal rather, of Toni Storm. So she wants it in character, so that's good.
Hear from Tony on Collision responding to this. There's a video package for the Gun Boys, looking at their career highlights in AEW and their training for the return. Jay White's voice is there as well. Guns up. Excited to see them back.
Maybe that'll help Jay White as a babyface.
Yeah. Unless it's a bait and switch. It was very babyface. Just felt like there was look at contrition on their face and wistful memories of their time in AEW. Could be a bait and switch.
Could be.
Colton Gunn's got something as a babyface, though. I would try it.
I love that entrance with the spinning water and the spotlight. It looks great.
They got over his heels, kind of people fell in love with.
Yeah.
First time around.
Also on Collision, we're going to get a three-way: Kyle O'Reilly, Lee Moriarty, and Daniel Garcia for the TNT title.
I'll talk about that on Monday. I'm not talking about it tomorrow. I'll tell you that for free. What are you doing?
I want a good bit. There's no good bit. Not in the music, not in the match, not in the nothing.
It's weird how many actual stars I've lived through. Jericho, Adam Cole, in their they're so TNA coded. They couldn't be further off my radar in terms of things I get excited about, Jesus Christ. What happened? CM goddamn Pugs, what happened? Tony Khan, you faggots.
A group we do love is the Hurt Syndicate, though, and we got highlights of them destroying Private Party to win the tag titles last week. And MVP gives Private Party recognition for fighting hard, but at the end of the day, it's not their fault for running into a dominant tandem in Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, who are going to hold these titles for as long as they choose. Name the time and place with the Hurt Syndicate, and we hurt people. Good stuff.
Yeah,
it's all good stuff.
And there's also a video package for Konosuke Takeshita and winning the never open weight title in amongst all this as well.
Good stuff.
and then we cut to Taya, Valkyrie and Deonna Purrazzo backstage. You say moments from now. I'm thinking moments from now. It's the main event. What are we talking about? We'll see Mercedes, short one. We'll save it for the match.
Moné.
Defend her title against Yuka Sakazaki. Purrazzo says it should have been her in the match, but Taya Valkyrie says Harley Cameron stuck her balloons where they don't belong. I don't remember her carrying any balloons in that match.
No. What they're saying is like they're saying that like mammoth breasts
they're
are so big that they are balloons, basically.
right. Okay, fair enough. Now Cameron belongs to the Vendetta, and on Collision,
Colossal. Those breasts are colossal, is what she was saying.
the Vendetta are coming to collect on Collision.
I have to watch it.
Harley Cameron gets to start winning now.
Yeah,
That's a turning point for this guy, and well deserved as well.
maybe some. Oh, maybe she gets a partner for something in Australia, even for a tag match or something. I love that.
Oh, he's going for Mercedes.
I think she's getting Mercedes now.
Oh, of course, we've talked about this. Yes.
Pay attention, mate.
Speaking of which, I've got distracted because I'm sorry, just checking my notes here, and there appears to be a women's match in the main event.
Who knew?
You did.
That's right, yeah.
Excellent guess.
Well,
I thought it was going to semi-main.
yeah. I just wanted to.
System works.
Yep.
A blueprint of my system. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
Yes. Sorry, Sidge. The match was, of course, for the TBS title, Yuka Sakazaki challenging Mercedes.
Moné. Moné.
Early on.
I'm back thinking of the pens.
Shut up, man.
Mercedes hits a shoulder tackle early on and does a little dance. And Sakazaki kips up, hits a shoulder block of her own and mocks the dance, which was nice. Yuka goes up top for a dive, but Mercedes bails. So Sakazaki tries to boot from the apron, but Moné sweeps out the leg and hits a diving Meteora to take us to a break. When we come back, Sakazaki counters a powerbomb into a Hurricane Rana, and Mercedes misses a corner Meteora. Sakazaki takes a few goes, but she gets a springboard and springboard dropkick to get a 2 count. There's a brainbuster and a sliding lariat for a near fall as well. But Mercedes fires back, floating over a suplex into the Three Amigos, but takes too long getting up top and gets cut off with a step-up forearm and a superplex. Sakazaki wants the merry-go-round, but Mercedes spins out and tries for the money maker, only for Sakazaki to land on her feet and hit a thrust kick. The merry-go-round hammerlock slam connects for a great near fall in there, but then Mercedes hits a backstabber into the statement maker. Looks like Yuka's in trouble, but she rolls that into a pin attempt and then goes for the magical girl splash, but Mercedes gets the knees up, pump knee, powerbomb, money maker, 1, 2, 3.
I was disappointed by this. There was a big gulf between the idea of the match and how it would all play out versus the actual execution. I quite liked the opening phase where Yuka Sakazaki was just this mischievous presence who could just outsmart Mercedes Moné, lull her into making mistakes deeper in the stretch, and then the bombs hit and you get the idea of, oh, well, maybe it's going to be Yuka's night, and then no, Mercedes being Mercedes and she prevails, and that's your story. But my God, it wasn't just the tremble and the pause on the springboard attempt. Like, that was the most glaring.
Yeah.
But my God, like, even when she hits things, Yuka, she's got her size does so much for and ultimately so much against her. Like, she doesn't have that sort of, she doesn't cut through the air at all. Like, the whole idea of Yuka Sakazaki, like, the idea of her is so much better than usually the execution. Certainly in AEW, I see some Tokyo Joshi stuff that is actually really, really strong. I don't know what changes, but she's meant to, like, cut through the air with these dynamic aerials and these strikes that you don't expect. And it's meant to be this amazing, like, juxtaposition. It kind of takes her forever to do a lot of stuff to get into position for things. And when she's not cutting through in a blur, it doesn't. The whole act of I'm very, very, very deceptively skilled and deceptively fast and deceptively strong. Like, refuse to take me seriously at your peril. I will get you. Yeah, you'll get it. It'll just take a while. And it's like a bit through treacle, you know? So, I don't know. The physicality just wasn't there at all. And I was let down.
I think I was slightly worked by the placement on the card.
Sorry, one more thing. I loved the Moneymaker counter.
Yeah.
I thought that was so well done.
Yeah. I think I bought into the stakes and size of it all probably because it was on last. And this is why we talk about like how perception can be reality and how if you just give the women a helping hand sometimes with your creative and your booking and the card placement, it can like work wonders for like Mercedes Moné's reached a point where she's kind of earned people's trust back through a series of great matches. This was not one of those great matches, but she absolutely felt at home in the spot because we know she can feel at home in the spot. There wasn't this sense of like,
when they did the ring introductions, that was pretty sad.
Well, I just didn't get, the crowd was the crowd all night, but I didn't ever sensed any kind of like imposter syndrome going on or anything like that. Like this, she believes this is where she belongs. If anything, she's probably thinking, I can't believe it's been nearly a year and I've not yet had an AEW main event. That's what I've come here to do. It's all talk a lot of the time, but she will say like, I've been in main events, plural, and here's one of them and all that. So I don't know. I think it's just her. I think like the character fit. I like seeing her as the defending champion. So I got a little bit more out of this match, but the little problems in the execution were there for all to see. I'm glad it went on last. Like I dare say this might have died on its arse in the usual spot.
It kind of did.
Maybe it did. I felt like Mercedes star power elevated all of this, genuinely. Maybe that's just a lot of like credit I've got like in the bank for, I don't know, but like this for me felt like a worthy main event title defense, even when the match fell a little bit short of expectations at times.
But as I say, it was the last match on the show, which means before we get to the name of the game, we have to get to the aim of the game.
We do. We have to do this. The aim of the game is to identify to the hour, minute, and second the first time you hear the first note for the first entrance theme for the first woman to come out and compete for the only women's match on Dynamite. The idea being, if we can just nail it to the hour, minute, and second, and it's usually in that 120 to 125 range. Most weeks, not all, evidently. But if we can just nail it, it'll really sort of put in bold, italicize, and underscore a real bad pattern of, hang on, why is it always in the semi-main? Why is it always before the main event? Why is it only one women's match? And then you start to think, if you've got a cynical head on your shoulders, you start to think, are they just trying to get away with putting women's wrestling on the show because they feel like they have to, otherwise the bloody wokes will kick off? And if we do it before the main event, if you look at the psychology of this sort of thing, that the viewer will probably be thinking, well, you know, I've made it this far. I'll bloody suffer the birds, and I'll get to the hot main event. That might be the psychology of why they do this. It just might. Certainly, I'm willing to put my head above the parapet and say, I think that's what you're doing, and I'm on you, and that's why we play the game. Anyway, that's a cynical thought process I project onto AEW and maybe Warner as well. Maybe a bit of a collab. Maybe it's 1998 all over again, and they are in cahoots. Okay, if you're thinking Sidgwick, mouthful. Could you jinglize what you perceive to be AEW and or Warner's cynical thought? Bro, I'm going to speech impediment. I sure can jinglize that. Maybe I can't. Maybe I'll get the vowels swapped and Hamflett can take the piss. But I'll jinglize it for you as best as I can. Okay? Don't worry, guys. When the women come out to play, the main event ain't too far away. That's the aim of the game. And the name of the game is, well, this is ladies' night. And I'm thinking, oh, my God.
Do you want to run us through our guesses from the Dynamite preview that we submitted yesterday in descending, ascending?
Ascending, I don't know.
I don't know, bro. God.
Never going to know. Yeah. We're going to learn. Any messages there you got?
Hang on, yeah. So in deep sending order, on the 15th of January, my ASOS parcel was out for delivery with Every. I've got a Google verification code. Sky's telling me that I've almost run out of mobile data.
Every month, yeah.
And message to myself. So, hey, WhatsApp's where it's at. So I'm messaging.
I know, like, you've got the ladies' night information there. That's the message to yourself, but it'd be funny if it was just like an affirmation. You're doing great.
You're doing great. Doing great. Doing great. Descending order. Me, what? 0 hours, 3 minutes and 10 seconds, because I thought they would get a featured slot here.
Yeah.
Maybe I should get a bonus point. Adam Wilbourn, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then Michael Hamflett with 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
Broken the streak.
Reign of Terror needed to come to an end.
Yeah, fair.
Does that mean you changed the strategy now? Is that the end? Is that the death of the strategy?
No, the strategy would have worked had it not been
Right,
copied.
well, surely we're just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, and so on. Like, it just keep
Thank you.
It's it. So he's made the rod for his own
count a
back.
few seconds
You two-
backwards and forwards each time.
You
from
two
yours.
cowards want to do that and just try and run me off the road here. That's fine.
Well, I'll do what I want.
I have a strategy, and I think it's going to come in.
You think that-
I'm going to get the golden snitch in all this, so you can be 10 points ahead. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Golden snitch, baby.
Loses 1 week and all of a sudden changes what it is to win.
So yes, Michael Hamflett on the board.
Yep.
Maybe this is your year.
Nah, probably not, is it?
1 for you, 3 for me, no for Sidge. After a controversial VAR decision last week.
I'm
But
going to be as gotten to as an Arsenal fan about that for the rest of the year.
They have a bit of ardor this weekend.
Oh, God, when don't they?
Vars.
You know,
Remember-
there's a vendetta against Arsenal Football Club. You
Remember
seen
the-
this? You heard about this?
and when the ball went out against you,
It didn't, though. If you look at it from the top-down angle.
a very
The letter of the law. The law exists for a reason, buddy.
very good article from Michael Sidgwick
You're joking. Not another one?
that was knocked up yesterday, courtesy of the man. Oh, I forgot
It's
to say
crafted.
it. Sorry, I realised I forgot to do the. Forgot to say thank you to the guys behind the.
Dada.
Thanks.
I am.
The Panda Blair himself, Adam Blair at Adam Wilton 4, and Jose Palomares at the Ho 11. But yes, Panda Blair sent us a ladies' night quiz that we did on the preview yesterday, and as a result of that, we learnt some interesting facts about women's wrestling in AEW. But
Depressing.
you wrote up an article all about that, and Adam's provided another update saying with a match time of 13:40, that made the match that concluded Dynamite the longest match of the night and the longest AEW women's match on Dynamite since
Mariah May
The Owen
versus...
final, yeah.
December 2022.
Oh, this went longer than the Owen final.
Apparently so.
What was the match then? December 22? Oh, we've got to guess that.
I can.
Jamie Hayter, Tony Storm.
That's a good shout, was it?
Oh, no.
One of the times.
No. Jamie Hayter versus Hikaru Shida. I'm almost certain.
Yeah.
Almost certain it's that.
Well, let us know your thoughts on that and everything we've discussed in the comment section, all your petting zoo ideas. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and you can
I don't like animal abuse, mate.
follow us on X at
They're not the subject
WhatCulture.
of the joke.
At
Yeah,
What
the animals aren't the subject of the joke. We're mocking the zookeepers.
Yeah.
Death Riders.
Yeah. The zookeeper.
At WhatCulture WWE on X. Well, actually, you can follow all 4 of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at.
Michael Hamflett.
You can follow Michael Sidgwick at.
I'm Sidgwick.
Follow our producer Adam Nicholas at.
It's Adam Nicholas.
And you can follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. As I said, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from, for daily wrestling podcasts. But for now, this has been the Dynamite Review. My thanks to Hamflett Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.